but in the accounting that in your article, you bring up the billion.
Well, and that's a great point because every single day, and you can see it down here, every single day there's $1 billion in-kind contribution given to the Democrats and given to the to attack the Republican brand and support the Democrat brand. I'll just give you an analogy real quick. I have the Amazon's Echo thing, and on a regular it shows you different things. Every single thing that pops up that's political is a positive for a Democrat, and that's because it's Amazon, of course. But that's part of that $1 billion a day industry that supports the Democrats, and you can see it. You can see it. I'm going to put up the JD for JD Vance on the with Dana Bash. Here we go.
Dana, I criticized his lying about his own record, okay? This is a guy who was captured on video saying, I carried a gun in war. He never went to war. This is a guy who's been captured on video, as other people say he's an Afghanistan veteran. He's a veteran of a war, nodding along in agreement instead of saying, no, I did serve my country and I did it honorably, but I never went to a war zone. I'm not criticizing Tim Walz's service. I'm criticizing the fact that he lied about his service for political gain, Dana. You now asked me 3 questions about comments that I made 3 years ago. I wonder what Kamala Harris thinks about the fact that she supported policies that opened the American southern border. I wonder what Kamala Harris thinks about the fact that she lied to the American people about Joe Biden's middle facility for the office. You are interviewing me, Dana, because I respect the American people enough to sit down for an interview.
I appreciate that.
Kamala Harris has been the nominee for 3 weeks. She hasn't sat down for a real interview.
Believe me, we are asking. You're not going to get a disagreement there.
But the point is, Dana, you've got me for 15 minutes or however long you have me. We should be talking about public policies that matter. How are we going to lower inflation? How are we going to reduce the cost of food and housing? How are we going to close down that southern border? We've talked so little about that. We've talked a lot more about a sarcastic remark I made 3 years ago. I think we should talk about the issues that most Americans care. Kamala Harris is whatever she says she is. But I believe importantly that President Trump is right that she's a chameleon. She pretends to be one thing in front of one audience. She pretends to be something different in front of another audience. Look, Dana, she's not running a political campaign. She's running a movie. She only speaks to voters behind a teleprompter. Everything is scripted. She doesn't have her policy positions out there. She hasn't answered why she wanted to ban fracking, but now she doesn't. She wanted to fund police, but now she doesn't. She wanted to open the border, but now she doesn't. She should have to answer for why she presents a different set of policies to one audience and a different set of policies to another audience. And I think that's what President Trump is getting at. This is a fundamentally fake person. She's different depending on who she's in front of. Dana.
So that's, you can hear Dana Bash obviously attacking him, and that's part of what we were talking about. Here's another example, and hat tip to Liberal Hive Mind who put this clip together.
Corrupt
Midwestern dad, like super clean cut vibe.
Everybody likes
right?
The way you hear them describe Tim Walz, you hear what I'm talking about, the $1 billion a day industry.
So plain spoken and relatable. As moderate and independent as it comes.
Pretty moderate Democrat.
I always knew him as a moderate. One of the most moderate.
Very moderate record.
The new moderate.
I think this is the new moderate.
Far from progressive.
It's right down the
Tampon Tim is not a moderate. Somebody who wants to put tampons in boys' bathrooms and wants to push a transgender agenda is not a moderate in any way, shape, or form.
middle.
And JD Vance is weird, extreme, and angry.
Utter humorlessness, the humorlessness and pompousness.
It's hard to believe that JD Vance could be any more extreme.
It's like a freak show of bros.
They have JD Vance, dark and ugly beneath the dignity of most politicians.
JV Vance.
JD is at the far extreme.
The most extreme, being one of the most extreme.
We need to recognize the danger.
It's another version of rules for thee, but not for me. It's
so hat tip again to Liberal Hive Mind for putting that together. That's the exact examples. You can see the comparisons in the two VP picks. They promote a guy who's clearly a record-breaking extremist leftist, right up there with social. He wants socialism, as the cornerstone of his state. And then you have J.D. Vance, who is the non-weird, non-extreme, being belittled and attacked and being called everything, including in some places a racist, despite the fact that he has married a woman from a woman from India that claims she's from India, that's always claimed her family was from India, and has two, half Indian, half Caucasian, American kids. This is absolutely a level of ridiculousness, and it's just so blatant. And you can tell. And just to make clear, if you go back and look at those clips, they're all the mainstream, MSNBC, ABC, CNN. This isn't some like small podcast group, John. This isn't some radical left-wing podcast like Turks, Young Turks or something like that. These are the same people who are using our public airways to vilify one candidate and build up another candidate. And, I was listening to Barnes and Viva today, and Barnes must be listening to us, John, because Barnes said the same thing that you have said. I mean, I can't remember when you haven't said it. That's how long you've said it, about going after the media for using the public airways for, this, someone needs to go after them, sue them and bring them into court for their ideology.
And I'll tell you how we were going to do it way back when. But let me talk to a couple of those points, because so you see Dana bash this leftist on the left, right? You would think, because obviously Kamala has gone, will say anything to get ahead. You would think it would be in their self-interest, the media's self-interest, to pin her down now.
Yes.
So that she's at least, so that she's on the record for at least favoring their positions. So that they're on the record for illegals coming in, for the open border, for defund the police, for banning fracking. She asked, that maniac Dana Bash is a green nut job. She asked during the Trump versus Biden debate about a green question. You would think it would be in her interest to tie down now Kamala, because she didn't have there was no campaign season, there was no primaries, there was no series of debates like there was back in 2020 where everybody could be put on the record. So whatever the normal procedure would be, it would be even heightened now if the press was even remotely, even if it was a leftist press, it would make sense for the leftist press to try and nail down this chameleon who is potentially going to be president. So at least on the record, they could go back, well, you said you were a green girl, all right, and now you're changing your mind if she changes it, right? But that's not what we're dealing with Dana Bash and the press.